Hello and welcome to the Wide Eye Reviews YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest album from Fontaines D.C, A Hero's Death. Fontaines D.C are an Irish post-punk band hailing from Dublin. They had their breakout moment just last year with their critically acclaimed debut album Doggerel. The album gained a lot of traction, gaining support from the likes of Annie Mac and the BBC Radio 6 music team, and it even picked up a Mercury Prize nomination as well. For me, their debut album showed a lot of energy and potential, but it wasn't something that I found myself gravitating towards, or something that I found myself coming back to a lot of the time either. But it was still enough to make me want to check out what they were going to do next, and just a year later they are back with their second album. The opening track, I Don't Belong, is a relatively good, albeit quite bleak intro. Graham Chapman's vocals are the standout here, and that ends up being a theme throughout the record. He still has that charming Irish twang to his singing voice, but his vocal range is so much better now than it was on the previous LP. We're then greeted with the second track, Love Is The Main Thing, definitely one of my favourites here. It kicks off with this really interesting but also quite unsettling percussion. This is then layered under quite a sinister guitar line which sounds like it could be set against some sort of 1950s New York detective story. Lyrically, the song rarely moves away from this mantra of love is the main thing, but this only adds to the dark aura of the song. And then each instrumental component just builds and builds in intensity to create this harrowing crescendo. Definitely one of my favourites, a really strong track. There are just so many instrumental passages on this album that show real quality and depth. The guitars on Televised Mind are invigorating, and the screeching intro to A Lucid Dream sounds like something from a beach house song. That is before the abrasive but carefully calculated drums are brought back in to bring it back into the punk sphere that the listener is comfortably in at this point. I think what really makes this record stand out to me though is the versatility in terms of songwriting. Fontaines D.C show that they can write sombre, slow ballads just as good as their high energy cuts. Oh Such a Spring is a stripped back minimalist track, but the vocals here are just killer. And the song You Said, it also slows the pace down. Lyrically on here he seems to be talking to a friend or a loved one, just telling them to slow down and look after themselves a bit better. Again, not really doing a lot lyrically in terms of sheer volume, but he's successfully operating a less is more approach. As a songwriter and a lyricist, it seems he doesn't actually need a lot at his disposal to make a statement or convey a story. The album isn't without the odd skippable track, however, the song Living in America isn't produced particularly well. The vocals and the guitars are quite buried in the mix. It's not necessarily a bad song by any means, but the production just makes it sound quite flat. And the penultimate track, Sunny, is another example of that balladry that I referred to earlier, though this time it's not pulled off half as well. I will say though, it does have quite a nice outro to the song. It has these layers of vocals sort of put on top of one another, although by this point, even though that bit is quite nice, by this point I had lost quite a bit of interest in the song. Having said that though, for the most part, the dead tracks are few and far between. I do think the title track is also worth mentioning. Here we have an uplifting instrumental which is only matched by the positive message that's conveyed in the lyrics. The chorus to this one sees the repeated phrase of life ain't always empty, and the verses seem to be this set of commands that he's giving to you as the listener. When I first heard it, I couldn't help but be reminded of the Choose Life monologue from Trainspotting. If you have a look at the lyrics, I'm sure you'll get what I mean. The track sits at about halfway through the album, and it's quite a nice pit stop, to be honest, from the otherwise quite dark lyrical themes. Overall, I really was quite impressed with this album. I certainly wasn't expecting Fontaines D.C to improve this much on their second record, especially with it just being a year since their first one. For them to have matured so much in that short space of time, it's really not something I was expecting. A Hero's Death shows that they have graduated from the new kids on the block to being one of the more exciting acts in the post-punk revival scene. They have elevated themselves on pretty much all levels, and I, for one, am really excited to see where they go from here. This album gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. Also, this is my first ever review on YouTube, so thank you very much for watching this far if you did. I will hopefully be doing more, but we'll see how this one goes down first of all. Do let me know what you think of it, and do be sure to like and share the video as well, it really will help. And subscribe as well, because hopefully there will be more coming soon. Also, if you haven't already, then take a look at the @WideEyeReviews on Instagram to see some of my written work. And once again, thank you so much for watching.